and Tuesday, work hard all day. Wednesday and Thursday, got no time to play. Friday's when I get my pay, so I can ball Saturday night, sleep Sunday all day. I'm gonna hoot and holler Saturday night. Yes, I'm gonna hoot and holler Saturday night. I don't care if they charge $1 for that whiskey by the swallow. I'm gonna get real drunk and wallow Saturday night.
Welcome to T-Bone's Best of Roanoke show. Music, comedy, and conversation featuring HB, the Honey Badger.
Honey Badger don't care.
Now, on with the show.
I'm ready.
That's what I was waiting for. Lee?
I'm so ready.
Oh, goody. Let's get it. This is Radio Free Roanoke, and this is episode 194, Lee. T-Bone's Best of Roanoke show. She's Lee Hunsaker. She's the creative force behind Hoot and Holler storytelling sessions. Our stories out loud. Is that right, Lee?
That's correct.
That's right. Now, let me ask you this, Lee. You were on the cover of the Roanoke magazine. You've been having sellout shows. Now you're on the T-Bone show with HB.
I have arrived. Everything I've done has led to this moment.
All right.
Well, that was what I was going to say. Pretty good year so far, right?
Yeah.
So far, so good. Yes.
All right, well, good. Well, let's do this. I know that you've been doing this for 8 years, Hoot and Holler. When you talk to your speakers, your storytellers,
Yeah.
I'm sure you encourage them to be open and honest.
Absolutely. That's number one.
Number one.
Number one, HB. Yeah, number one. So therefore, HB and I need to come clean with you.
Okay.
We're coming
I
clean.
have a little confessional. Let's go.
Yeah.
HB and I both, we've been to the Grand Canyon. We've been to Europe.
Okay.
We've even been to Morgantown, West Virginia. Woo, holy mackerel. But, Lee, we have never, ever been to a Hoot and Holler. Does that make us shallow people?
I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to use adjectives. I'm just going to say, shame on you. No, I'm not. I'm not going to shame you even.
We're going now.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It doesn't look good on our resume. All right. Well, let's get started.
Okay.
Give us the elevator pitch. What is Hoot and Holler?
Yeah.
Hoot and Holler is a true storytelling platform based out of Roanoke, Virginia, where real members of our community come share true stories based around a theme, which is wide open to interpretation. I always say we're like the rowdy little sister of the moth. That's my tagline.
All right. Yeah.
That's good.
I get it.
And then you've been doing it 8 years. You do it whenever you come up with a topic. It's not like you do it every month. It's not like it's rigid.
Right.
Right.
And part of that is because it's sort of, Hoot and Holler is me. And I don't think that people often realize what goes on before the show. The show, is its own beautiful entity, but there's a lot of prep work that goes on behind the scenes in the weeks leading up, which can be both mentally, physically, and spiritually exhausting for me. So I usually kind of have to recharge and take a minute. And I want people to miss us a little bit. I don't want to be too predictable.
Right.
I want to kind of pop up.
Good.
And so people are hungry for it.
Yeah.
Good. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's pretend that HB and I are going to do a combo presentation.
Okay.
A combo story.
Love it.
Little give and take.
Okay.
What would you say? The Dean and Martin and the Jerry Lee Lewis
Yeah.
or whatever. Rowan and Martin.
Yeah.
But we'll do a little combo.
Okay.
I want you to take us through the process. So I guess the process starts with you coming up with a topic.
That's right.
All right,
That's
now, was that like a divine intervention, or how's it
Literally, that is the perfect way to describe it. I keep a running list of themes. Like, I'll just suddenly, have to pull over in the Kroger parking lot because something will hit me. Or maybe it'll be based on a current event that's going on. Or But truly, it's something that just sort of bubbles up in my head, sort of organically. Unless, like, for instance, we've done a Voices of Veterans show, and we did that on Veterans Day. You know, sometimes we'll do a ghost stories around Halloween. But other times, it'll really just be something like, this just feels important and timely today. And so I'll just put it out there.
Did you do one on frenemies?
Frenemies, yes.
That's gotta be a good one.
Yes, yeah. And some themes are so brilliant that it's time to bring them back again, because that was many years ago, and that was hilarious.
Yeah, sounds good.
And so, I'm thinking, you know, I'll probably recycle some of our really popular themes, because there's always new stories.
There's always new stories. And I'm sure, Lee, when you're at Kroger at Towers or wherever, quirky people come up and say, Lee, I got a great topic. And you go, oh, that's great, thanks.
So much.
Right.
So much.
And so you're open to that, aren't you?
I really am. I mean,
wow.
you know, I am a magnet. I designed this myself. I know what I've asked for. I understand that people are going to come up to me, and I welcome that, really. And more often than that, than people suggesting a theme, is somebody coming to thank me for a certain show or a certain story, and how much it impacted them, and how grateful they are, and how it opened their eyes and their hearts. And that is what it's about.
That's boom.
And scene. The
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
So therefore, this is great, because I've been thinking.
Yeah.
I've got 2 topics I bet Lee would just love
Okay.
to throw away.
Okay.
One is my favorite mistake. Have you ever done one like that?
Literally on my list. I could show you my list and you would see it there.
Oh, wow.
But it's brilliant. It's only because great minds think alike.
Okay. Good.
But
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
so good.
All right.
And maybe this is the one that'll bubble up next, because you've reminded me of it.
All right. And then one more.
Okay.
UFOs. Wait, subtitle, unforeseen outcome.
Nice.
So just put that in the
Okay.
back. All right.
Okay.
Okay, so that's out now, HB.
I love
All
it.
right. Now you got your next show. What's the topic for your next show?
June 12th, we're doing the Animal Kingdom.
The Animal Kingdom, Marlon Perkins type or what?
Not exactly.
right. Elaborate.
Like we're the rowdy little sister of the moth. So these are sort of animal stories on the surface, but each one of them, and I find this with every theme, somebody might think they're talking about UFOs, let's say, but really there's always a deeper story. And so my kind of superpower, which I have finally been able to claim, I used to be shy, but now after doing this for 8 years, I can see what I'm able to do and my abilities, which is to unearth the real story behind the story. So often people will send me in a pitch, which is great, but I will hone in and zero in on maybe 1 or 2, 3 words, and I'm like, I need to hear more about that, because I'm thinking that's the story. And then I will encourage them to go a little bit deeper, to explore new angles, and then little by little we work together and dig, and we sort of find those threads and those golden nuggets, and a whole new sort of shiny story comes out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Animal Kingdom, it could be about maybe my pet pug, or it could be about animal instincts or animal attraction. Right, HB? It could be about, it's
Honey
wide
badger.
open.
Honey
Honey
badger.
badger. See, sounds like there's a story there for
There's a
sure.
story there.
There's a story.
Yeah, okay.
We'll incorporate that.
I know, right?
All right, very
Absolutely.
good. So you got the topic.
Yes.
All right, so now HB and I want to get on the show.
Okay.
And so how do we submit a proposal to you?
Yeah, so the way I work, and not everybody does this, but I have to see it in writing first. That is the first order of business. So I ask for stories to be submitted in writing. Not necessarily...
Does it have to be as detailed?
That's what I was going to say. It's not necessarily word for word how they might present it in a 10-minute live story. Right. But I do look for a sense of a beginning, middle, and an end. Surprises, plot twists, drama, heart, humor. So I really look for those sort of shiny moments that, and I get an instinct if someone is going to be, some people are beautiful writers, but they stand in front of a mic and they're just frozen.
Yeah.
And so it's really an instinctual kind of witchy thing on my part. I admit it. It's like a witchy thing, you know. I get an instinct of if a person feels like a good fit for the show.
Yes.
And I always try to weigh the show very evenly. I don't want to have all really heartbreaking stories.
Right.
And, you know, I, of course, welcome humor. Each story, I think, needs to have a little bit of that because there's a responsibility to the audience not to... We want everybody to
take you
leave
too
with
far
hope. Yeah, and it's
somewhere,
not
yeah.
group therapy, you know, so there are many fine lines that have to be walked, and I'm responsible for both the storytellers feeling safe and protected and supported and the audience. And so I carry a lot with me and in my heart and in my soul about it, you know, and I take it really seriously.
It shows. So we would submit an initial proposal, maybe a paragraph or two,
Probably more
or
than
500
one.
words.
Yeah. I mean, you need something that's going to get me hooked. I always say, like,
Got a hooker.
a killer opening line is everything. Where are we going to let the audience in? You know, how much backstory? And that's something that we'll work through as we work together. So the initial thing just needs to grab my attention, you know, and just have personality and energy.
Yeah, energy, that's good. All right, so we've got your attention.
Yes.
There's only 8 selected. So it's
That's
a very...
what I was wondering.
Yeah, sometimes a few more. Sometimes a couple will be a little bit shorter, but typically it's 8 10-minute stories. I'm a real stickler on the time because stories always stretch out in front of a live audience, and people, you know, there's laughter and there's pauses, and so I've definitely found, you know, audience attention span seems to be in this sort of beautiful 10 to 12 minutes. Any longer than that, especially if it's a longer program, you can start to hear them shifting, even if it's a fabulous story.
Right.
It's just the way we are, you know, wired these days. We have no attention span.
Right. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Well, we like to ramble on and on and on. So, but anyway, you could help us coach
Yes,
us,
that's what I do.
shape it.
Okay,
Coaching
good.
and
Yes.
shaping is what I do. Absolutely. So if it feels like a good fit, we'll usually do a phone call. And I'll have you kind of tell it to me organically. Okay. You know, just sort of like, don't look at your notes. Just tell it to me as if, you know, we're having a cup of coffee or a beer together. Like we're friends. Right. Be conversational. This is not an audition. But tell me, and then from there, I'll just kind of be quiet and I'll take notes. And I'll start, I can hear stuff that maybe wasn't in the written form. And then we piece together what was told, what was written. And then there's always, usually, well, not always, but typically multiple drafts. I would say 4 or 5 drafts is about average for a 10-minute story. Even with sort of seasoned writers, because I like to push people a little bit. I like to sort of make them examine, like I said, the story, just to consider looking at it from this angle. You know, just switch your angle just a little. Let's hear more about that uncle, or let's hear a little bit more about your grandma.
I bet they're really good too. I can see it.
Yeah, I mean,
interesting.
Yes, yeah. And the other magical part, and I use the word magic all the time, but the magical part that I've witnessed so many times is the transformation that happens with each storyteller.
I bet, yeah.
And that for me, again, is everything. And to see them just stand in their truth and stand in their voice and own it. And again, you know, and sometimes that's with harder stories maybe, but also just people who before this experience would never dream of standing in front of 350 people. But they knew they have something, it's been sitting in their throat for a lifetime.
Yeah.
And so I am there to just hold them and love them through it, you know, and tell them they don't have to be perfect, just be real.
And when they walk off that stage, HB, I bet they feel like $1 million, right? Wow.
The hair stands up on my arm even now.
Yeah,
truly.
You can just feel it.
Yeah.
All right, so we've submitted the story. We're making it through the process. Yep. You've called us. We did a Skype.
Yes.
And, so anyway, we're making it, and you're saying HB and T-Bone, less is more.
Yes.
Let's shape this up a little.
Yes.
Have you thought about
Trim
this?
it.
Trim it.
So much
You're like an editor.
Yep.
Snip, snip.
Yep.
And so we're moving along. Now we're getting closer and closer to when you think, well, I think my crew, my flock is about ready to get up on stage.
Yes.
do we have like a live exercise where we go to the Grandin, let's say, and do we like practice at one time or 6 times? Or
Exactly
how's that work?
what it is. So once I confirm all the tellers, I'll put everybody together on a messenger chat. And so they can sort of begin to get to know each other a little bit. And at first it's real quiet because a lot of the people don't know each other.
Yeah.
And only I know the stories. So they don't know what the other stories are yet. And so it stays real quiet for a while. And then I have people submit songs. So music is a huge part of our show, which y'all will appreciate. I have a DJ on stage with me.
You do?
And I have each storyteller choose a theme song.
Like a walk-up song?
Yeah, just like you had me do
how
with the show.
cool.
Yeah.
And so usually it has something to do with their story, or maybe it's about the time period that they're talking about. Something as a little teaser as they walk up on stage.
Beautiful.
So people start posting their songs, and then so there's just a little bit of getting to know you. And then we do one rehearsal only.
One.
And this is after I've talked to each person multiple times. So I have sort of signed off on their stories. But the rehearsal is we meet at the Grandin so they can actually be on the stage, in the room. And it's just me and the storytellers. And so it's very intimate. And this is when they start to get to know each other. And so then we'll do feedback, sort of workshop it a little bit, not to... I mean, at this point, nobody's changing their story. The story is the story. But sometimes with fresh, ears, someone will say, that felt a little confusing. Or, don't forget to pause here because that's hilarious. Or, so there's just some kind of performance stuff that we work on. I work a lot with eye contact and not, I do allow people to take their notes on stage because I don't want to throw people to the wolves.
So are you saying, Lee, there's no teleprompter?
No teleprompter.
What the?
We have a low music stand and they can bring notes. But I want their full bodies and faces out there because that's where the connection happens.
That's right.
Yes.
If you're holding up a piece of paper or if you're standing behind a podium, your whole body's blocked.
Right.
So it's a very vulnerable place to be, and I recognize that and I honor that. And so we just talk a lot. I mean, there are tears, my psychology minor comes into play.
Okay, yeah.
Constantly. Because I do understand how vulnerable it is to be up there. And so I really try to walk with them and meet them where they are.
Wow. All right, now I bet, and I think I get the impression, Lee, that there's some people that enjoy doing this so much, they're kind of like repeat offenders.
Oh, yes.
That's what I was going to ask.
For sure, there are people who sometimes will just write me and say, I have a story for this. And I'm like, you got to go through the process. You don't get to just say, even if I love them and know they could blow it out of the water. And also, I have a rule, nobody can tell 3 times in a row. Even if they skip a show or 2. But some people want to.
Strikeout rule.
Yeah.
I know, and it hurts me because those are often my favorite people. And I know they'll be brilliant. Right. But I always try to have at least half brand new people.
That's
fresh.
Very smart. Fresh. That's a
yes,
good way to say
absolutely. Because
it.
Again, I want the audience to be surprised.
All right, so HB and I are up on stage, and we've got a little podium there.
Yep.
Well, maybe a note or a picture in front of us. When we look out into the crowd, Lee, what do we really see? Do we see every 350 people, or do we see like the first 3 rows? What do we see?
Just depending on the lighting for the night.
We want it dark.
Yeah, it's dark. The stage is dark, but there are lights on you. But you can for sure see the first 3, 4, 5 rows for sure. But the thing that's incredible, and y'all are gonna think I'm crazy, but it's the energy. It's the feeling in the room.
I bet. Yeah.
And so people have so many times been like, please live stream it. Please do a Zoom. Please. And you cannot replicate that feeling.
Can't capture it.
And so we continue to sell out, I think, because of that, and because the give and take between audience and teller is it's palpable.
Wow.
And the storytellers will tell you that every time. Like, I can talk, especially if they're new, I'll say, our audience is the most compassionate. You're going to feel them leaning in. You can hear a pin drop in the room. And until they experience that, they're like, I did not understand until I experienced it myself. Wow. And so it is like everybody's giving each other a gift at all times. The gift of listening and the gift of sharing.
Yes.
And to be in the Grandin, of course, makes it all
what
more
a cool place.
wondrous and special. And so the whole thing just works so beautifully.
Well, in addition to the walk-up music that we would have,
Yeah.
and we're up there and we're talking, we're doing our talk. Is it possible, Lee, to in the background somewhere to have like pictures, a slideshow of our time in Morgantown, say?
1,000,000%. That is another gorgeous layer to the night, is to have photos projected on that beautiful screen behind the teller.
Okay.
So usually I'll have people select maybe 3 photos per story, because I don't want it to be too distracting where it's like a slideshow. But yeah, if somebody's talking about their grandmother when they were 5, and if they can dig up a photo of them on their grandmother's lap, are you kidding me? I mean, it just adds more and more and more. And so, I have an art background, I have a theater background, so the more we can make it into a show, and I'll often have an unannounced opening act, like a band or a local singer-songwriter who might share a song, around the theme.
Yes.
I've had a full-on drag show before a show. I love to incorporate as many voices and as many perspectives from our community.
Cool.
So,
And over 8 years, I'm sure you've done that. So we finished up our show.
Yeah.
We're on a natural high because the crowd just seems to love the HB, the Honey Badger. And what do we do when it's all over? Do we go out into the lobby and have some Raisinets, or what happens?
Absolutely, yes. So if you're last, then the show's over. There's the hugs. Everybody is going to want to talk to you at the end and thank you and shake your hand and just talk about how impactful your story was. So the after show is always wonderful, with just people will come up. And then, of course, there's always an after party at Community Inn.
Right next door.
I mean,
Yeah.
so they know to be prepared for an influx of very happy people.
How cool.
At the end of the night.
Now that's a Hoot and Holler.
That's where the hollering starts.
Whoa. That's perfect. What a way to close it. So I bet when you want the audience to leave inspired.
Absolutely.
Right?
Right. And so part of my other job that I take very seriously is the curation of the night, and who to put first, who to put last, how to ride the
how to
waves of
open and close,
emotion.
kinda,
I don't want to put 2 super heavy stories right next to each other, and so riding that wave and finding all the ways. And we also do an intermission. So usually there's, right before intermission, there'll be sort of one that's like, where they have to process for a minute.
Yeah.
Let that sink in.
And they're not going to want to leave.
Right, that's right.
Which we never have people leave.
That is impressive. It's a lot to it.
Yeah.
A lot more
It's a lot.
than I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see where you'd be drained mentally.
Yes, thank
Drained.
you. Thank you for acknowledging that.
Especially you.
My poor
with
husband.
all that you do.
Yeah. I mean, I feel responsible for like the weather. I mean,
Yeah.
I take it global. Like it rained. That's my fault. It's cold. I mean, it's just like.
That show's got to be pitch perfect.
Cuckoo,
Yes.
cuckoo
Wow.
brains. Yeah. So
All right. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I don't know what I was going to say. Yeah. So living with me, in the couple weeks before a show, it's just I have a 17-year-old son. He's going to be a senior next year. He's got a lot going on, and of course I'm present, but I'm also like living with 90 people in my brain and in my heart.
Wow.
And caring so much.
That's right.
I check in too much. I'm like, are y'all okay? Just like give me a word.
Yeah.
I'm like the den mother.
Well,
And that's what makes it what it is. That's why the show is successful.
I think so.
you're
Thank
right,
you.
HB.
Yeah.
All right, so we finished the show. We're over at CI with Mont. And,
Yes.
all those good
Yes.
people. So now, what about the future, Lee? Do you see? I know it does. You do other venues besides Grandin, but
Yeah.
what's in the future for the rest of 2025 and maybe beyond?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm always dreaming. But it is only me. I don't even have a website. I work off of Facebook and a little bit off of Instagram, and that is a testimony to how beautiful this has been. Is it's almost a word of mouth kind of thing, and so many people want to come to the next show. But we do have a show coming up at the Coves at Smith Mountain Lake in August 3rd. And I've just decided on the theme for that one, but I haven't started taking story submissions yet, you two.
Okay.
The theme will be road trip.
Excuse me?
Oh, that's perfect too.
Morgantown, West
We have a road trip story.
And I actually am very open to two people telling a story at the same time. Just
That might
saying.
be, yeah.
So let's discuss.
The two of us.
Yeah.
Just the two of us.
Yes. And then we are going our second year to Rhythm and Roots Festival
Bristol.
in Bristol, which is so
Oh,
cool. They've never done storytelling before last year, so they're giving us a bigger and better stage this year. So we've been invited back.
And you've done Floyd Fest,
Done
haven't
Floyd
you?
Fest, I think, 4 or 5 times.
Wow.
And that was fun. We always did the workshop porch, which felt great. It was kind of like a little country church vibe up there.
Yeah.
And so I'm always just looking for ways to take it deeper and wider. I love working with some local nonprofits, maybe with their staffs, team building. Storytelling is not just not always up on the stage. It's also a way to get to know your peers better, your coworkers. It's a way to process sometimes trauma.
Yeah, I could see
and
that.
It's a way
Yeah.
to share and say you're not alone, So I love working with teenagers. I'm doing a memoir class at Woodland Hills, which is a like a retirement home here, and having them share their stories with each other.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's just so many ways that storytelling can go deep and wide. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to use a line that jumped in my ear when
Okay.
I heard it that I think you used. Fill in the blank.
Okay.
If you can tell a story, that proves you are
Alive.
alive.
Was that the right answer?
That's good. Yes. That's not good.
Because the fact that we're all still here means that we have thousands, millions of stories. And I always tell people stories don't have to be these sweeping,
Right.
melodramatic. They can be about a trip to Kroger. It can be tiny. It's all sort of in the telling and in the honesty of it. So I always want to encourage people, you do not have to be a writer, you don't have to be a stage performer, you just have to have your heart open.
And it's amazing probably how you feel when you're done. I bet
Yes.
you've heard that so much.
Yes.
They come off the stage and like, I can't believe
Oh, yeah.
that they did this for me.
Absolutely.
And how they feel about it, the release you were talking about, dealing with something,
Yeah.
or just to share a story that is just a great story.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And to do it in front of so many people for the first time, you've got to feel like you've opened up a Pandora's box. You're like a new person. You've got the ability to do something you didn't think you could do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's got to be great. All right. Well, I'm going to give you a little pop culture quiz, and then I'm going to let you have the last word, Lee.
Okay.
You ready?
I think so.
We took 5 topics.
Okay.
We pulled them out of a hat. I'm going to throw them out to you. Two things. You pick one and tell us why you
Okay.
want to go with that choice.
Okay.
All right. The first topic is, let's say, Texas-born musicians. Let's go with Lyle Lovett or Robert Earl Keen. Pick one and why.
Ooh.
And if you've never heard of these people,
I lived in Austin for 20 years.
Oh, wow. Really?
Not only have I heard of them, I love them, and I've seen them both a billion times.
And one's coming to the Harvest.
I know. I've seen him so many times. Gosh.
And there's no hard feelings if
I mean,
if Robert's listening right now.
I love them both so
Yes.
much. So much. I might have to go with Lyle.
Yeah, good pick.
I might have to go with Lyle. As much as I love Robert's songwriting, he's a fabulous storyteller. Lyle, from what I know of him, has lots of crooked roads that have led him to where he is. He's got the acting, and he's just a quirky, his humor. I'd have to say, I'm going with Lyle.
Solid
Okay.
pick. Solid
I
pick.
love me some Robert, though.
Yeah. You got a good call. All right, next one is Irish-born actors.
Okay.
Peter O'Toole or Richard Harris. I'm kind of on a Peter O'Toole kick right
I was going
now.
to say, for sure. Absolutely. Just seems quirkier and a life well lived.
Yeah.
Not that, but again, of course, don't get me wrong, both of them.
Both,
But
yeah.
Peter is absolutely who came to my mind.
Another good pick. I just watched My Favorite Year again the
Love.
other night.
Yes.
Wonderful show.
Yes.
All right, TV series. Breaking Bad or Big Bang Theory.
Breaking Bad.
Why?
1,000,000,000%.
Walter? Jesse?
What a story for one of
What a
them.
story.
Yeah.
I'm in love with New Mexico, so I appreciate all of the scenery and the design work on that. I was in the film business for 20 years, so I am
Gosh.
I'm very much in tune with sort of the way things are designed, and that is just a beautifully designed show.
Right.
Plus, well written and hilarious and dark and
Right.
It's
it
got
has
it
all of it.
It does.
Yes.
All right, good pick. No, good pick. Two more
Okay.
topics. Let's go with literature. Shakespeare or Mark Twain?
Mark Twain.
Why?
Because I can read it better. I'm
Yes.
not just.
It flows.
I don't want to have to spend an hour on a paragraph.
Figuring it.
I mean, is that terrible? I'm an English major, but I'm going with Twain. I can understand it better.
Yeah.
It doesn't take quite so much work for me.
All right.
All right.
All right. Last one.
Don't
and
judge.
This is no judge here. No judge here. This is very relevant since Animal Kingdom is your next topic. This last topic or category, Lee, is animals.
Okay.
I want you to pick one and tell us why you picked it.
Whoa.
Winnie the Pooh or Tigger?
Tigger!
Yeah.
Of course! I love the prankster and the goofy.
Okay.
Pooh is just a little too pure. I gotta have a little bit of rowdy. I gotta have a little prankster going
Figures
on.
bounce. That's all right.
All right.
Pooh is just a little too pure
All right.
for me.
Okay. Well, you aced the pop quiz.
Thank you.
So I'll give you the last word, Lee.
Yeah.
The
with
last
upcoming
word.
shows, something coming.
Yeah. Again, June 12th, it's already sold out. But what I would encourage for anyone, if this interests anybody, is to follow our Facebook page. And you can get sort of the hot tip of when the next show is coming and the storyteller calls. And by sending me a note does not mean you're committing yourself to telling a story. You can just send me a note and say, can we have a phone call? And I'm so happy to do that and answer questions. I never want people to feel like they need to be perfect, that they need to be a New York Times bestseller to submit a story. This is all about heart and soul for me, and way less about punctuation and, English 101.
Gotcha.
This is about truth, heart, soul, and humor and drama and being real, telling the truth.
There you go.
Yes.
Wow. Well, I'll close with this, too.
Okay.
I try to think of one word that would describe you. I listened to so many of your good interviews with, like, Doug Jackson, the Roanoke Magazine, Cardinal News, and I said, what one word in my mind would describe Lee? And the word I came up with, HB, was boomerang. A boomerang is something unique that goes out into space, out west, perhaps, and they eventually return. And Lee returned, and she gave us the gift of Hoot and Holler. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm going to
Yes.
I'm going to put that on my resume. I'm
Thank
a boomerang.
You a boomerang?
Not a boomer.
No.
Well,
I'm virgin. No, but thank you. I
Thank you
love that
so much.
description. Thank you.
Thank you. Go get it,
Such
Lee.
a joy.
You're so good. Thank you. All right. That's a wrap.
way to go.
Saturday night. Well, I raised the roof on Saturday night.
Miss a segment? Want to hear the interview again? Just watch our YouTube channel.